Ladies and gentlemen, history has seen many different types of chess prodigies. But here in 2024, we have a chess prodigy emerging who is so special and so unique and so fascinating that I simply cannot stop making videos about this man. His name is TYLER1. It's just Tyler. There's no like #1 on his passport or anything, not that I've checked. TYLER1 is a very, very famous League of Legends content creator, streamer, also just in general player, bodybuilder, and most recently, a father. He became a father, and congratulations to him and his partner. I don't know if they're engaged, married, but her name is Michaela. But more impressively than becoming a father, recently TYLER1 crossed 1900 rapid on chess.com. Now that might be meaningless to some of you. Why? What's so impressive about 1900, right? Well, my friends, TYLER1, less than 1 year ago, in fact 10 months ago, was rated 199. At the bottom left-hand side of your screen, right next to that little 0, yeah, his rating was 199. Rather than making good chess moves, he was eating the chess pieces. He's now rated 1900. In fact, he's rated 1960 as his peak. He has played over 10,000 chess games. He has done over 20,000 puzzles. He has a higher puzzles rating on chess.com than Hikaru. Pure dedication. That doesn't mean that if Hikaru didn't also do more puzzles, he would have a higher rating. I'm just saying TYLER1's dedication to the game is terrifying. And in this video, I'm going to show you 3 games that he played recently, how he crossed 1900, how he hit his peak at 1960, and the highest win he's ever gotten against a 2,139 rated chess player. This man, less than a year ago, did not know how to play the game. He was made fun of because he just yelled a lot and lost all his pieces. Now he yells a lot and wins all of his opponent's pieces. So I'm actually going to do this backwards. And I'm going to do this backwards because he beat a 2100 when he was 1787. And it's actually insane the way that he does this, right? Like the way he has spammed the ELO ladder by playing the exact same opening every single time. He plays this opening known as the cow. That's what he plays. And I'm going to turn down, well, I think my sounds were a bit out of whack. I was doing a chess lesson as part of my Road to GM series. I will be uploading that in a few days. So TYLER1 plays this opening where the knights go behind the D and E pawns. It's very solid. It's passive. It gives the opponent a little bit of an advantage according to the computer. But for most human beings, going up the rating ladder, it's very difficult to exploit. And he likes it because it's systematic. He seems like a very system-based player. Like he will kind of follow the rules and the structure. And that's what he does. And the good thing about this opening is that it doesn't give him any weaknesses. So you can't really cheese him, right? Which is a thing that beginners suffer with a lot. So we have knight to g3, knight c6, and here his opponent played the move h5, which is the most principled way of challenging the cow because you moved, you know, the cow out to the edge of the highway, and now it has to be forced back into its stable. But Tyler has learned over time that it's good to challenge this with the move h4. The drawback of this move is that you weaken the g4 square. But okay, black takes over the entire center, right? Can you even blame him? And we have bishop e2. Targeting the pawn on h5, which black's defends with e4. And now Tyler likes to play like this. He likes to play e4, okay? What he likes to do is because he's moved these 2 pawns like this, he wants to win a little bit of equity in the center of the board. And it's a difficult decision for black. A lot of people here, they don't know what to do. Like a lot of people just take out of inertia. Some people push, but that gives Tyler this square and potential f4 stuff. And his opponent keeps the tension. Now Tyler plays bishop f3. Tyler is like the master of making moves with a piece that go 1 square, that do not make a lot of weaknesses, and that just sort of, you know, he's like the tennis player that returns every shot but doesn't challenge you at all. So ultimately, it's death by 1,000 cuts. Like you know, you'll just do something dumb and overexerting, and then you will lose. Okay, so bishop h6. Also, you're going to spend more time. Like Tyler plays very fast. His time management is very, very good. And, you know, knight b3, just very straightforward. We're going to trade the bishops here. Takes. Now he takes with a queen, right? And now he's worse. But he's worse here if and only if black defends this pawn by pushing to d4. And if you take, then queen a5 check wins the knight. So basically, black is defending the pawn tactically. Instead of that, black goes here. And, you know, Tyler plays queen g5. which is not the best move because black can get out of the way and kick out the queen. Probably a better move would have been, let's just say, short castles or pawn takes on d5, apparently. But again, without the engine, Tyler's games are very human, and exploiting his mistakes is really only possible. Frankly, it's not possible by anybody. Not Magnus or Hikaru would not be able to defeat him, make no mistake. But it's only exploitable by a chess master, really. Like, not a 2100 on chess.com, but like, if I played Tyler, maybe I'll challenge him to a match once he gets to like 2000. The point is that like exploiting these ideas, it takes a lot of controlling the game, controlling the pace of the game. Like here, black plays d4, which is a very good move. And now this move a3. Now, you ask me, I just look at that and I say that's a free pawn. All right, like bishop takes b3. I mean, to me, this is just a very clear free pawn. And then you can't castle this way because it's illegal. You castle this way. I'm not going to take this pawn, but I will probably take a second pawn in the center, right? My king is a little bit weak, but I'll commit my king at some point when the queen leaves. But in this position, black plays a5. So black doesn't take the knight. Tyler castles. The knight is still hanging, by the way, but now after a4, knight d2, now this is definitely a lot of free stuff, but instead of taking that, black castles again. So again, Tyler's just kind of like, he's worse, but exploiting his mistakes is actually surprisingly challenging, and his opponents don't really do a great job of that, which means he's not really worse. It's like that saying, right? If a tree falls in the forest and no one is there to hear it, does it make a sound? If TYLER1 makes a mistake, but his opponents are not strong enough to exploit the micro nuances of the position, is he even worse? No, he has bicep bonus. Knight c4, takes, and now one move here you probably don't want to make anymore is this, because you already castled your king there, right? Why would we do that? Well, finally his opponent does that. He does that, and now Tyler's position comes alive. So he's gonna play rook b1 at some point. He could play it now, but he waits a little bit. He takes his biggest think of the game, 49 seconds. That might have been because he was moving his daughter around. He did say that his daughter sleeps on his chest, and then he plays a lot of chess on his phone while that happens. So very adorable. But he could have played rook b1. Okay, thanks for, queen g7. Now rook f8. And by the way, the best move in this position is just losing this pawn completely for black. Like the best move here, according to the computer, is queen c3. I mean, I wouldn't play queen c3. Like queen c3 doesn't even make sense. The idea of queen c3 is to play knight f8 and try to trap the queen. So, I mean, it literally doesn't make sense. So rook f8, and now white is better because white goes, no, because white is supposed to go for an attack. Like Tyler should have went here, rook b5, rook b6, rook b1. Like he should have gone for an attack. He didn't. He sacrifices the knight for some reason. That's a really bad move. I mean, it's just not like, the position is not demanding a sacrifice. And the way you avoid stuff like this is like, yeah, you got to think, do I have two more attacking pieces than the defending side? No, he doesn't. They're over here. But how does black exploit this? By playing queen b6, queen c7. Like, that's the only way. And somehow, Tyler has this ridiculous ability to make his opponents make practically difficult choices. And his opponent doesn't, his opponent just takes the pawn because he doesn't sense the danger. Now bishop f7, and now there is a lot of danger. The danger is coming from all three sides. From that side, from the left side, and from the center. And now black has to play knight to d8, protecting against the check, protecting the pawn. He doesn't. And with two very natural moves as a follow-up, bishop e6 and rook b1, the game is over. Because you cannot stop the attack on b7. You don't believe me? Knight d8, white to play, bishop d5. This is an unstoppable attack on the black king. It's over. It's literally made. The only thing that you can do with black is give up the queen, because if you move the queen anywhere, I don't take with the bishop, although I will probably win if I do that, but I have to be a little bit careful. Rook b7 is game over because it's mate. And anywhere the king moves, it's force mate, either in 1 or in 2. And Tyler wins. He beats a 2100. Like, what? How is this even possible? I mean, his ability to control the game. I mean, I understand the engine is saying it's -3, but I guarantee if I put you in black's position in this and you didn't know it was -3, you might lose half the games, which means it's not -3. But because the computer is like, well, obviously you just play queen b6, bishop f7, queen c7, bishop, like, the computer knows that you got to come back. I'm not even sure like a 2300 rapid player would find queen b6, probably after thinking, but with time pressure, you know, and instead you're going to be like, there's no, and all of a sudden you're just straight up mated. Like, boom. Dude beat a 2100. Dude beat a top 0.1% chess player, and he didn't know how to play chess a year ago. It's insane. It's completely nuts. Now, this was 1787, all right? A couple of big things happened in 1787, like the Constitution of America was signed or whatever, I think, right? That was when they got rid of the Articles of Confederation. I don't know. I got a 5 on my AP US history test, but I hated school. You got to do well, though, because listen, you don't do well in school, you're going to become a chess streamer or League of Legends streamer or something. So D3, D5. Here's the game that Tyler beat Cross 1900. He beat in 1880. I know it's a little bit less impressive, but to be honest, this 2100 did not, I wouldn't say this 2100 played like a 2100. Maybe they played like a 1900. I'm doing a game review, and game review says Black played like a 1650, which is, sorry. And Tyler played like an 1800, right? So now we're going to take a look at this game. Knight t2, knight f6. A3, and look, I mean, again, the thing about this opening is, like, there's no weaknesses. So what Tyler does is he slowly builds up, and then he starts playing in the center, right? And he just slowly brings out his pieces, brings out his pawns, position locks up, and the engine, again, says Black is better. Like, in the first 10 to 15 moves, because Tyler is playing the cow, which is inherently an opening that is not groundbreaking or particularly strong, you're going to be at a disadvantage. That's how it works. Knight e5, knight f3, knight g4, and he just plays solidly, he doesn't make too many mistakes, and he spots tactics when they exist, like knight takes d4. So the knight is there, the bishop is there, he's just very good at like, oh, if take, bishop g4, knight g4, queen g4, I just win a pawn. Completely right, 100% right. But at this level, people are going to play Zwischenzugs. So for example, he took on d4, his opponent is like, well, I could take the knight, but then I'm gonna lose my knight, so this knight can't take anything. Let me play knight f2, which is the best move. That's called a desperado or a Zwischenzug. They're different things, but it's the same thing. In between taking the knight, you take the pawn because you attack the queen. Now, white probably has to go here or try to desperado himself. And that's what Tyler does. He counterattacks the queen. So he spends a little time. He spends 30 seconds. Now, the best move was to take the knight on f2, but he goes here, and he blunders. His queen gets taken, and now he's losing. Like, he's losing. Now, we got to figure out why. Why is he losing? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Right, well, if you follow the capture chain, Black gets a queen, we get a queen, they get a free bishop, we get a rook, they get the knight. So they took a bishop and a knight for the rook, which is just very good for the side that gets the 2 pieces. However, the knight that ends up over here is going to get trapped. Now, if some of you are having trouble visualizing this, that's okay. You're not good enough. I'm not trying to insult you. This is a skill that you develop by playing 10,000 games. It's a visualization skill, and even Tyler himself got it wrong, unless his idea was that the knight is trapped. It's trapped, but it's not winnable. It's kind of one of these weird moments where the bishop goes here, and it's just protecting it indefinitely, and you actually just cannot win it. So, yeah, there's not much you can do. Okay, so Tyler blunders that. He should have taken the knight, fine, and, you know, dusk clears, and we have this position. But look at the time. One of Tyler's greatest strengths is the fact that he plays fast. And even if he sometimes plays poorly, like in this game, where, you know, poorly in the previous game is not the same as poorly in this game. Poorly in this game is, you know, he made a simple mistake. He should have just taken the knight. But because he's up 5 minutes, dude, good luck winning this position with 3 minutes on the clock. You know what I mean? Like, he makes things practically difficult for people. Time management, very useful skill. He plays rook b1. Here's the problem. If you take this, after bishop takes and rook takes, you are still worse. And on top of that, in this position, the only way for Black to really cause any problems is to give a check, force the king to move, let's say to f1, give up the knight for the pawn, and then play knight g4. So it actually turns out that this whole time Tyler's a genius because he gets the 2 pieces back and now it's equal. Now the position's equal and Black is down 5 minutes. So Tyler saw all of that. He basically saw that he would lose the bishop, the knight would be trapped, and yeah, the best way for the opponent to take advantage was to win a pawn at least and then do this. And he didn't do that. And for a second game in a row, he gets out of practical difficulties by playing relatively straightforward and sensible chess, and black has 2.5 minutes to win this game. It's not winnable. Another thing, I don't know who taught this man endgames. Like, I don't know if he got secret lessons from Magnus Carlsen. Dude in this position, let me tell you something right now. This is actually fascinating. If I gave this position to 100 people rated 2,000 rapid, so that's not a lot of you, statistically. But a good amount of you are like 1,800, 1,900, 2,000 rapid on chess.com. I'm willing to bet less than 25% of you, less than 1 out of every 4, would play king to f2. You just wouldn't do it. Now, you're going to sit there and argue with me. You're going to be like, what do you? Of course I would. No, you wouldn't. You're lying to yourself. You would play a move like b4 or rook d2. Like, you would try to, break out of the... King f2 and king e3 are the top moves of the engine. Like, there is a little bit of something that is an innate ability of a person to play the game of chess. Bringing the king to the center. Why is it okay right now? Number one, it's the endgame. But there's no queens. You are able to bring the king to the center because of a lack of firepower on the opponent's side. If the opponent had a dark squared bishop, you wouldn't do this. If the opponent had a queen, you wouldn't do this. If the opponent had a knight that could attack the king, you wouldn't do this. But the king is safe. Tyler sees that. He sees the inability of the pieces to target the king, which is all chess is. If you're good at spotting what your opponent wants to do, you have a level of empathy, right, for the opponent's thoughts and plans and ideas, you're going to put the king on e3 because it will also prepare this move. G6, b4, and now he implements that game plan. His opponent also goes for pawn play, but one of these pawn plays is not like the other. This is not good pawn play. You're walking into a very well-protected spot. Meanwhile, white just got an open file, right, which he uses immediately. And he wins a pawn, and now he's winning. He's also winning because he's at 5 minutes. I mean, it was always going to be basically impossible for black to play this position. Tyler beat this 1880 the way I would. Like, if you drop me into this position where white is slightly worse. White is slightly worse here because the bishop is probably worse than this bishop. The pawn structure is bad, and the knight is bad. The knight does not have a lot of mobility. So black is going to take over the d4 square. Like, again, if I'm playing here, I play knight e5, and I probably play knight c6, knight d4. I play knight c6, knight d4. But b4 is on the way. I mean, like, you're not going to stop this move, right? But he does this exactly the way I would. I mean, you make a weakness, you win the pawn. And then here, I mean, as long as you don't blunder a fork, you're going to win the game. I might play e5, bishop f3, right? And what does Tyler play? Okay, he takes on f5. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. But now I play bishop f3. He does it, pinning the knight. Rook d6. And now maybe like king d2, just get out of the way. Just get out of the way of everything. Maybe bishop d5, and he plays bishop d5, and then he brings the knight. Dude straight up has the he brings the knight because it's the worst piece. All his pieces are good. He doesn't try to force his way here. He's keeping the tension. A lot of you would just chop the knight. You know, you would chop the knight. But no, just bring the knight. And now he rushes, but okay, black has 12 seconds. I mean, at this point, you could have violent diarrhea and you would win the game. So he does this, he puts the knight. He blunders because black has 4 seconds, all right? He blunders a deflection, but black doesn't have enough time to convert it and loses on time, right? Black would play rook d6. But if he didn't blunder this, he would have, put a pawn on g3. Good to control the dark squares because black has a light squared bishop. Then he would play knight d4, d4, d5. He just wins. I mean, it's actually ridiculous. Like, the ability of him to just control the game. Just control the game. This is how he broke 1900. Yeah. Now, he's a rare breed. Most of you would not be able to get away with this. You would not be able to get away with playing a subpar system-based opening. Like, you wouldn't have the patience. He's different. He really is. Something is wired differently in the brain. I mean, he's able to do 30,000 reps of something, right? Chess, puzzles, games. Most people can't do that. Admittedly, if you're working like a certain type of job, or if you go to school, like maybe you don't have enough time, right? Profession and lifestyle and everything is a little bit different. But just as a human being, he's just built different. Like the ability to study and all this. Now, don't go anywhere because this is the game that he won to cross his highest rating of all time. Okay, this is the game that he won to cross 1960. So we have e4, right? We got the vintage, we got the cow. Now he plays the expedited cow. He doesn't put the knight on d7. He plays knight here. And then he puts the other knight on d7. So white plays h3. Useless move, right? Like, if you're going to do anything, you should obviously... The best way to attack the cow is to target the flank. Because the knight is not supposed to stand there. But okay, he doesn't do that. E5, now Tyler attacks the center. And now, from the opening, the position is equal. Position's equal. And in the cow, you're going to play for a couple of different pawn breaks, right? You're probably going to play for f5. Going to be a little difficult to achieve that, but you'll probably trade off the knight. So let's see what happens. b6. You don't need to do that. It weakens the light squares a little bit, but fine. Now he puts the knight on c5, and he's going to win one of the bishops. He's either going to win the bishop on d3, or the dark square bishop. We have check. We have block. Black goes back. White goes back. I mean, just terrible. Just a waste of time. I mean, this is just not good. And now Tyler takes the... That was always his plan. And guess what? Guess what? Remember how I told you he's going to have difficulty playing f5 because white has so much layering on that square? Yeah. Well, knight c5, bishop b5, bishop d7. Now he takes. Now he plays f5. Now black is just much better. Just straight up much better. Like, no questions asked. Why? White is jammed. Right? Black has a piece ready to attack. Black is just threatening to open up the position here. Black is the only one with a light squared bishop. Black is going to open up the f file. Black is going to put the queen on a6. Or trade some pieces over here, bring in the queen. Like, let's see. Queen c2, right? Now, before he commits this pawn, he should be a little patient, but okay, I don't blame f4, and now rook c8. And he just has a lot more space. The computer prefers this position because it likes to keep the option open of taking. It doesn't want to do it now. It wants to keep the... Fine. White doesn't have many moves. Queen b3, that move doesn't do anything. Now Tyler continues to make progress on the side of the board. He has more pieces, and on the side of the board, he has more space, right? He's done this a million times, takes. Now the white king can't castle this way, and if the white king castles this way, very quickly, you bust open the position, f3. That's it. You're either guaranteed to win a knight, or you are guaranteed to open up the king. And once you open up the king, it doesn't matter if the king takes back or not. I mean, queen f6, queen g6, white resigns. Queen f3, like, white resigns. So... Knight g1. Oh, man. Now, that's actually a very creative move. And the point is that white wants to play knight f3. If white gets to play knight f3, like, let's say, like, you don't know how to make progress, right? Like, you're like, oh, man, I got to bring my queen. Okay, knight f3. Queen h6. Let's say I take the bishop, right? You actually run out of pieces pretty quickly. Black only has one move in this position that maintains the advantage. Only one move. Maintains the advantage. And this madman finds it. Queen g5. Just queen g5. Targets the pawn. And that's it. I mean, it's game over, because if knight f3, queen g2 is a fork on everything, if you play rook h2, this is brutal, and you lose the rook. I mean, it's nuts. If king f1, which is probably white's best move, I sacrifice anyway. Now, I don't know if Tyler would have played this move. He might have, seen knight f3 coming, and he would have played like queen h5, and he still has the advantage. But his opponent panics. Plays g4. And g4, en passant, you lose this. By the way, it's like still okay, which is kind of insane. But Tyler sacrifices this, which is one of the best moves. The best move was to take on f2. But he sacrifices like this, right? White plays knight f3. And now he bulldozes. He finds the idea to sacrifice on f2. Queen f3 was a bit better, but he takes here, and he gives a check. And in this position, king e2 is the best move. Check. And then he's guaranteed to win the rook. So the best way for white to defend himself here is not to go to d1. It's to go here, 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 lose the rook, and come back to f2. So basically, the king has to move in a triangle. The king has to go there, there, there. Again, for the third time in today's video, I'm showing you what he is making his opponent find the only line that keeps this position, and it's just not possible. Instead of that, the opponent goes like this. And Tyler has a lot of experience with lifting. Well, he's got plenty of experience with rook lifting too. This is basically picking up your fist to threaten your brother or sister. I mean, whoever you're fighting with. And Tyler's got a brother. So, picks up his fist. He's like, I'm going to punch you unless you drop the toy. The toy is dropped. Rook g6 is an unstoppable checkmate. I mean, the king is completely covered. He will be covered on the h or g file. The queen is out of the game. It's just like, he's just destroying people. He just completely destroys people. I mean, it is unbelievable. Like, in the last 90 days, or like, let's even say 30 days, his win rate is not even like, it's 49% win rate, 49 and 47. With white, it's 50-46. With black, it's 47-49. He just grinds nonstop. Like, he just grinds nonstop. He wins and loses, wins and loses, wins and loses. Like, if you go to his profile, he's won 3,000 games and he's lost 2850. He has won 170 more games than he's lost. And that's literally all you need to get better. That is literally all you need. You need to win a little bit more than you lose. And that is the way you improve at chess. But most human beings don't like losing 48% of the time. If we did anything in life that failed 45 to 49% of the time, we would hate it. Chess is no different, but he doesn't care. He just grinds and grinds and grinds. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible stuff. So I will continue to give you updates. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a handful of you that have gotten this far in chess as well. 2100, 2200. I see you guys on like social media, on Twitter. You guys are like, well, why is that impressive? I got to 2200. You're unique. If you are looking at TYLER1 and saying, why is that impressive? I got to 2200 in a year. You are unique. Congratulations. I mean, you either cheated and you're a scumbag, or you are unique. You are actually very smart. You clearly have an ability to absorb like a sponge. You could probably go use this skill in many walks of life, but you are unique. 99.9999999% of people are not like you. They play chess for a little bit. They dabble. They go in and out. They don't really, and so you are special. So is TYLER1, and that is the purpose of today's video. Yeah, I mean, listen. I hope I can travel down to where he lives one day and play him in an over-the-board match. I think it would be cool. So this is an open invitation if Tyler watches this video on his stream. If any of you are TYLER1 subscribers and he's streaming at some point, send him this, and I'll fly down to. I'll babysit if he needs. I'll clean the pool, and we can do a chess and weightlifting collab. Hey, I deadlifted 255 for one, and I weigh 160 pounds. So I'm learning from him. He's not really learning from me, but it is what it is. Get out of here.